This is KRT Newsline from Critical Race Theory. Here's what's happening. Another story out of Mississippi, but this one is good news, somewhat. But before we get started, I want to say thanks to my supporter, Tom Slick. Mississippi has been found in violation of the U.S. Constitution's prohibition of cruel and unusual punishment by a federal appeals court panel. The panel, in a split decision on Friday, ruled that the state's practice of permanently revoking voting rights from individuals convicted of certain felonies goes against constitutional principles. On the Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals panel, two judges have instructed the Mississippi Secretary of State to cease enforcing a provision within the state's constitution that disenfranchises those convicted of specific crimes, which include murder, forgery, and bigamy. If this ruling holds, numerous individuals could potentially have their voting rights reinstated, potentially in time for the upcoming November 7th general election for governor and other statewide positions. Mississippi Republican Attorney General Lynn Fitch anticipates seeking a reconsideration of the 2-1 ruling by the full appeals court. The Fifth Circuit holds a reputation as one of the most conservative appeals courts in the country. And when they say conservative, I think they mean racist. In 2022, it declined to overturn Mississippi's provisions for felony disenfranchisement, a decision upheld in a separate lawsuit. The U.S. Supreme Court confirmed in June that it would not review that case, thus allowing the 2022 appeals court ruling to remain in effect. These two lawsuits present distinct arguments. The case rejected by the Supreme Court was centered on equal protection, asserting that the Mississippi Constitution's architects from the Jim Crow era deliberately removed voting rights for crimes they believed black individuals were more prone to commit, including forgery, larceny, and bigamy. The lawsuit addressed by the appeals court panel on Friday, however, argues that Mississippi's imposition of a lifelong voting ban following certain felony convictions constitutes cruel and unusual punishment. Judges Carolyn Deneen King and James L. Dennis, writing jointly, remarked, quote, Mississippi stands as an outlier among its sister states, bucking a clear and consistent trend in our nation against permanent disenfranchisement. As per the Mississippi Constitution, those convicted of 10 specific felonies, such as murder, forgery, and bigamy, lose their voting rights. The state's Attorney General has extended the list to encompass 22 crimes, including timber larceny and carjacking. To regain their voting rights, individuals convicted of any of these crimes must either receive a gubernatorial pardon or convince lawmakers to pass individual bills on their behalf, requiring a 2/3 majority. In recent years, few such bills have been passed, and none were passed in the current year. The ruling on Friday saw two judges, King and Dennis, advocating for the restoration of voting rights, both of whom were nominated by Democratic presidents. The dissenting judge, Edith H. Jones, nominated by a Republican president, disagreed. Jones stated in her dissent that when the Supreme Court previously ruled that the Equal Protection Clause doesn't prevent states from permanently disenfranchising felons, they indicated that individuals should pursue change through state legislatures. Jones criticized the court for reversing this stance, saying, quote, today, the court turns that advice on its head. The court will do it for you, so long as you rely on the Due Process Clause rather than the Equal Protection Clause. A coalition of diverse groups supports reinstating voting rights for felons, including the Libertarian Cato Institute, the American Probation and Parole Association, and the American Civil Liberties Union, along with the Mississippi chapter of the NAACP. So if you are in Mississippi, look for the governor and the legislators to throw anything they can in your way to keep you from voting. No water for you waiting to vote in the hot sun. Polls 100 miles from where you live. broken voting machines, and running out of paper ballots. Look for all these to show up. This has been KRT Newsline. Thanks for checking in. Like and subscribe. Leave a super thanks or buy me a coffee, and we'll see you next time.